Hello everyone, welcome back to On The Fly. Today we're going to be taking a look at Day 4 of the World Junior Championship currently being held in Moncton and Halifax. So yes, we are finally back in person and we're going to jump right on into it today with the scores. Starting off with the first game of the day between Finland and Latvia. So in this game, Latvia looked really good, I'd have to say. Finland did end up winning 3-0, but in this game, Finland was pretty well matched against Latvia today, which might be a little bit of a red flag for a team like Finland. They haven't really faced any solid competition yet. Their only real competition was against the Swiss, and they lost to the Swiss in overtime. And so when we really look at it, Finland isn't really looking that sharp right now. They still have another game against the U.S. coming up on New Year's Eve, so we'll see how they can do there. But at the end of the day, Finland has to start kicking it into gear if they want any shot at repeating what they did last year, making it to the finals. And if they want to win this year, they got to be better than 3-0 against a team like Latvia. But with that being said, Latvia played really well today. I was quite surprised. And really one bounce one way or another, and Latvia was right back into it. It was really 2-0 with an empty netter for Finland. But at the end of the day, Latvia had numerous chances, goal line saves, and Latvia was really one bounce away from being back into it, maybe even winning this game. But unfortunately for Latvia rather, Finland did take it 3-0 today, so it's a must-win for them later. So we'll see how Latvia performs there. Move on to the second game of the day between Sweden and the Czechs, with Sweden winning 3-2 in overtime. And in this game, to be completely honest with you here, Sweden should not have won. The Czechs played far better. They look like the far better team. But at the end of the day, Sweden, having the more skilled team, prevailed. And with that being said, I do have to say this right now, but the Czechs are not a team to sleep on. I'll be the first one to say I sort of slept on the Czechs coming into this tournament, thinking they weren't really a part of the Big Four. But right now, I'd probably take the Czechs over a lot of teams. I think Canada has sort of figured out their way now, so I think if they were to play again, Canada would take it. Same with the U.S. Sweden, though, and Finland, I'm not so certain, especially the way they're playing right now, whether or not they'll be able to overcome a team like the Czechs. We'll see if they make it to the playoffs, which obviously the teams are, as you sort of see the X's on the board already. But with that being said, I would not be surprised to see a team like the Czechs make it extremely far in this tournament. Would not be surprised to see them win it all if they get the right opportunities, the way the seeding works. So if the higher the Czechs can get in Group A, I think it's going to be a lot better for them. And in this game, really, Czechs outplayed the Swedes for the most part, and then overtime, it's anyone's game. This time, it was the Swedes' game. But at the end of the day, I think the Czechs really performed well today. They got their point, and we'll see if they're able to continue what they're doing in Group A. As for Sweden, getting 2 points, really all you really need at this point. All you need right now is a win against Canada, coming up also on the 31st. So it's a really big day for hockey, especially for the juniors on the 31st. So definitely stay tuned for that. But we'll move on to the third game of the day here with the U.S. against the Swiss. In this game, yes, it was 5-1 in the final. However, when you really look at it, it was really a good game for the first period. The U.S. were relatively well played by the Swiss in that first period, and then the Swiss just looked fatigued. They didn't have any more gas left in their tanks, so the U.S. ran away with it, and for that reason, that's the final score, 5-1 today. But at the same time, the U.S. looked really good overall. They had their legs underneath them. So we'll see how they can do, especially as we move on here throughout the tournament, if they can continue their ways. Obviously, the Swiss are no joke, beating off Finland already. We'll see how the U.S. can play against Finland on the 31st as well. And lastly, the heaving away game, Canada, Austria, 11-0, and heaving away is the song, or Canada's goal song. We've got to hear that 22 times over the last 2 days, so it's certainly stuck in your head, especially with all the Newfie-like moves. Do-do-do-do-do. With that being said, not much I can talk about here. Canada winning 11-0. The score reflects the game. Canada blew Austria away. Really no shot for Austria at all. Austria did look good in the first period, relatively speaking, playing a team like Canada. But at the end of the day, when you look at a matchup between probably one of the best teams on paper versus the worst team on paper, 11-0 is sort of what you're expecting. And to be honest, it was under the 14-goal over-under that normally gets set. So, I mean, pick your poison. I thought it was a pretty good game by Austria for what they can do. But we'll move on here. Looking at the Group A standings, we have Sweden in first place with 8 points, Czechs with 7 points. You have Canada in third with 6 points. So when we look at this, the 3 X's, playoff, all made the quarterfinals already. Germany with no points with two regulation losses, and Austria in the relegation spot with 3. Not too much to worry about for Austria, I don't think. They aren't really expecting to do much in this tournament, so hopefully they can stay alive in the relegation. But with that being said, Germany obviously is also a team that they're going to have to beat to get in. So we'll see how that ends up going here. Germany, Austria, game to watch. Move on here to the Group B standings, and this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. We have Finland, first place with 7, US in second with 6, Switzerland in third place with 4, but they've only played 3 games rather. Slovakia in fourth place with 3 points, but they've only played 2 games. And then Latvia in last place with 1 point. They've also played 3 games, so another must-win for them coming up later. Well, tomorrow, not later today, but tomorrow. So we'll see how they do. So we'll take a look at the upcoming games coming your way live at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll see Latvia versus Slovakia. That game will decide what goes on in Group B. It's a must-win for Latvia. If Latvia does not win in regulation, Latvia is most likely going to get knocked out. Actually, they can probably win, but with that being said, Latvia has to win that game. If they don't win the game, they're done. Slovakia also has another game in hand, so definitely pay attention to that. Whether or not that ends up getting used, who knows? But at the end of the day, Latvia needs a win badly if they want to stay in this tournament, not make it to the relegation stage. And then Slovakia, all they need is a point out of this game, and they'll be just fine. So moving along here for the 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's a big gap in between those games, so get a lunch, come back for the second game of the day between Germany and Austria, the determinant of Group A. So the winner of this game obviously is going to make it to the next stage because they're both sort of out of games. Going to be interesting to see what happens there. If Austria can win in regulation, even better for them. But at the same time, I don't expect too much out of Austria. For me, the game of the day is going to be that Group B deciding game between Latvia and Slovakia. That's going to be a really good game, and I definitely suggest watching that one if you're not going to watch any other games during that day. But at the same time, Germany, Austria, not necessarily going to be the best game. You have Germany, who's probably going to slaughter Austria, just the way that the two teams are matched up. It's not going to be a very good game, but at the same time, Germany, you never know with Germany and Austria. Who knows? Maybe they can find some legs under them that weren't there before. And sort of just covering the notes from today with 6 teams clinching. We have Sweden, the Czechs, Canada, US, Finland, and the Swiss. All have clinched spots into the quarterfinals. And lastly, Connor Bedard ties the Canadian record for goals in the World Junior Tournament. So congrats to him. Tying Jordan Eberle. Both have played 12 games. So who really is the better player at this point? Is it Jordan Eberle, who was in my childhood? He was the one I watched in the World Juniors for a long time, or is it the current generation of Connor Bedard? We'll see who has the better career. I think I have a slight hunch on who that might be, but at the same time, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. If you'd like to drop a like, if you really like to consider subscribing, tell all your friends and comment down below your thoughts on Day 4 of the World Junior Championship. Until next time, see you.